Stay with me here because this story matters. And I promise you, by the time we are done tonight, you will understand exactly why it matters, not just for Louisiana, but for every Republican in the United States Senate who has ever thought about crossing Donald Trump. I am your host, and you are watching Liberty Shock, a start somewhere that might seem small, a single vote. Cast more than 4 years ago in the United States Senate chamber by a senator from Louisiana named Bill Cassidy. One vote. Among many votes, this man has cast over 2 terms representing the people of his state. But this particular vote, this one specific moment, turned out to be the vote that ended his career. And the way it ended, the mechanism by which it ended, tells us something profound about the Republican Party in the year 2026. So stay with me, because we are going to walk through this carefully. January 6th, 2021. You remember what happened. The United States Capitol was attacked. And in the aftermath of that attack, the United States Senate held an impeachment trial for then President Donald Trump. Now, most Republican senators voted to acquit. That was the expected outcome. Trump was acquitted. The final vote was 57-43 in favor of conviction, which sounds like a lot of votes for conviction, but it was short of the 2/3 majority required. So Trump walked. He was acquitted. But here is the thing. 7 Republican senators voted to convict him anyway. 7. Every single one of those 7 senators cast what amounted to a political target on their own back. Bill Cassidy of Louisiana was one of those 7. And on Saturday, a Republican primary election in Louisiana, the people of that state sent him a message. And the message was, your time is done. Now, here is where it gets interesting, because this was not just a loss. This was a specific kind of loss, a carefully engineered kind of loss. And to understand it, you have to understand who beat him and how this race was set up. Congresswoman Julia Letlow is 45 years old, and she is the first Republican woman ever elected to represent Louisiana in the United States Congress. She got there through extraordinary personal circumstances. Her husband, newly elected representative, died in 2020 from complications related to COVID-19 before he was even sworn into office. Julia Letlow then ran for his seat and won. She won a special election for Louisiana's 5th congressional district in 2021 with 65% of the vote. That is not a squeaker. That is a statement. And now, in 2026, she is running for the United States Senate with Donald Trump's endorsement. And on Saturday, she knocked out a 2-term incumbent senator. Let us sit with that for a second. A 2-term United States senator, a gastroenterologist, a man who has been in the Senate since 2015, is now done because of one vote he cast in February of 2021. Here is what the numbers looked like on Saturday. Letlow led the field with 45% of the vote. State Treasurer John Fleming, another Trump-aligned candidate, came in second with 28%. And Bill Cassidy, the 2-term incumbent, finished third with 25%, a Republican primary in his own state. The man finished third. Now, because neither Letlow nor Fleming crossed the threshold of a simple majority, the 2 of them will face each other again in a runoff election in late June. And then whoever wins that runoff will face a Democratic candidate in the general election. So the story is not entirely over. Letlow still has to get through Fleming. We do not know yet how that runoff plays out. But here is the thing nobody is saying out loud, but everybody is thinking. Bill Cassidy is finished. That part is decided. And the question now is whether Letlow or Fleming carries the MAGA banner into November. Let us talk about John Fleming for a moment, because he matters here too. Fleming previously served as a representative for Louisiana in Congress. He also worked in the first Trump administration. So he is not some outside challenger. He is a credentialed member of the MAGA world. The fact that both he and Letlow advanced while Cassidy finished third tells you something about where the Louisiana Republican electorate is right now. Both Trump-aligned candidates beat the incumbent together. Now, let us go back to Donald Trump himself, because his role in this race was not subtle, not even a little bit. Trump endorsed Letlow, he encouraged her to run back in January. And then just as polls opened on Saturday morning in Louisiana, he posted about Cassidy on social media. And I am quoting directly from the reporting. Trump called Cassidy a sleazebag, a terrible guy who is bad for Louisiana. All caps on bad for Louisiana. That is not an accident. That is a man who wanted to make sure voters walking into polling places on Saturday morning had his voice in their heads. And then after the results came in, Trump posted again. And I am quoting directly from the reporting. He said it was nice to see that his political career is over. Again, caps on over. Donald Trump sat on Saturday night and celebrated the political death of a man who had served Louisiana in the Senate for over a decade. Now, here is what is interesting about how Cassidy handled all of this, because he did not go quietly into the wilderness. He did not simply accept his fate as a man who crossed Trump and paid the price. He tried to thread an almost impossible needle. He tried to remind voters that he had actually worked effectively with the president he voted to convict. And I am quoting directly from the reporting, something Cassidy told reporters last week. I don't really think President Trump likes me that much, but we work really well together. Then pointed to several bills he sponsored that were later signed into law by the president. Now, let us sit with that for a second. A sitting United States senator is telling reporters that he knows the president of his own party probably does not like him personally, but they get things done together. That is a remarkable thing to say out loud. That is a man who knows he is in trouble and is trying to find any argument at all that might save him. It did not work. Cassidy also tried to go after Letlow directly. He accused her of not being conservative enough. His evidence, comments she made in 2020, in which she expressed support for diversity, equity, and inclusion programs in education. That is the attack Cassidy chose. He tried to paint a MAGA-endorsed Congresswoman as insufficiently conservative. The voters of Louisiana's Republican primary were not persuaded. For her part, Letlow was not shy about what this race was about. She accused Cassidy of being disloyal to the Republican Party. And I am quoting directly from the reporting something she said about Cassidy, that the people of Louisiana shouldn't have to wonder how our senator will vote when the pressure's on. That is clean, simple, and effective political messaging. It does not require any explanation. Everyone in Louisiana knew exactly what she was referring to. That one vote, February 2021. Now let us zoom out, because here is the larger picture. And this is the part that makes this story about more than just one Senate race in one southern state tonight. Of the 7 Republican senators who voted to convict Trump after January 6th, only 3 still serve in the United States Senate going into Saturday's primary. Lisa Murkowski of Alaska survived a primary challenge in 2022. Susan Collins of Maine is still there, and Bill Cassidy of Louisiana was still there until Saturday. So now, if Cassidy is done, there are 2 remaining. Murkowski and Collins, 2 Republican senators who voted to convict Trump, who still hold their seats. You can be absolutely certain that everyone in Washington is watching what just happened to Cassidy and thinking about what it means for them. Here is what is interesting about Murkowski specifically. She survived a primary challenge in 2022. Alaska has a different primary system, a ranked choice voting system, which likely helped her. Collins is from Maine, another state that does not fit the standard MAGA mold. So both of them have some structural protection that Cassidy did not have in a deep red state like Louisiana. But protection is not immunity. The message that Saturday's results sends to every Republican office holder in America is not complicated. It is actually very simple. Cross Donald Trump, and he will come for you. He will endorse your primary opponent. He will post about you on social media the morning of your primary, calling you a sleazebag. He will celebrate when your political career ends. And in a Republican primary in a state like Louisiana, that combination is lethal. Let us Also think about what this means for the Republican Senate caucus going forward. When you remove senators who are willing to occasionally break with the president, you replace them with senators who have been explicitly chosen for their loyalty, you are reshaping what that caucus is willing to do and not willing to do. You are narrowing the space for internal dissent. That is not political analysis. That is just arithmetic. Now, there is also a subplot here that deserves attention, even though we do not have all the details. According to NBC News reporting, State Treasurer John Fleming, the other candidate who advanced to the runoff, said that someone around the Trump administration offered him a job to get him out of the race and clear the path for Letlow to take on Cassidy one-on-one. Fleming told NBC News he faced pressure to step aside. The White House, according to that same reporting, did not respond to a request for comment on that claim. And so we do not know yet whether that offer was made, who made it, or what the terms were. What we do know is that Fleming says it happened, and the White House has not denied it. We will watch that thread. Let us also not lose sight of the human dimension of this story. Bill Cassidy is 68 years old. He is a doctor, a gastroenterologist. He has given more than a decade of his life to representing Louisiana in the United States Senate. He cast a vote in 2021 that he believed was the right vote. He has not, as far as the reporting shows, apologized for it. He tried to move past it politically by emphasizing his legislative work with the Trump administration. But he did not say, I was wrong to vote to convict. He chose to try to survive on the argument that he could still be useful, still get things done, still bring value to Louisiana. The voters in Saturday's Republican primary decided that was not enough. Now let us be precise about what we know and what we do not know. What we know. And Bill Cassidy lost the Louisiana Republican primary on Saturday. He finished third behind both Julia Letlow and John Fleming. Letlow received 45% of the vote, and Fleming received 28%. Cassidy received 25%. Neither Letlow nor Fleming crossed the majority threshold, so they will face each other in a runoff election in late June. The winner of that runoff will face a Democratic candidate in the general election. Donald Trump endorsed Letlow, posted about Cassidy the morning of the primary, calling him a sleazebag, and posted again after the results, celebrating the end of Cassidy's political career. Cassidy was one of 7 Senate Republicans who voted to convict Trump after January 6th. Of those 7, only 3 have continued to serve in the Senate. Cassidy is now done. Murkowski and Collins remain. What we do not know, we do not know who will win the June runoff between Letlow and Fleming. We do not know whether Trump will travel to Louisiana or deepen his involvement in that runoff. We do not know whether the claim about a job offer made to Fleming to get him out of the race is accurate. We do not know what this means for the political futures of Murkowski and Collins, though both will be watching carefully what to watch next. The June 27th runoff between Letlow and Fleming. Any further reporting on the alleged job offer to Fleming. And any signals from Trump or his orbit about how much attention and resources they plan to put into securing a final Letlow victory. Here is the bottom line. A senator who crossed Donald Trump once, 4 years ago, just had his career ended by a primary electorate that has not forgotten and has not forgiven. And the Republican Party in 2026 is a party where loyalty to one man is the central organizing principle of political survival. That is not an opinion. That is what Saturday's results in Louisiana show us. And whatever you think about that, wherever you stand on the politics of it, you are watching history unfold in real time. The reshaping of a major American political party. One primary at a time. Thank you for watching Liberty Shock. If this kind of deep, careful reporting matters to you, please subscribe so you never miss an episode. The source article for tonight's segment is linked in the description below. Go read it. Read the whole thing. Think about it for yourself. It is the most important thing any of us can do. Think for ourselves.